almost like I have your medical records or something here. Your cholesterol's great.
No.
Blood pressure's really good.
No.
How are you doing today, Nigel?
We're doing well. Yeah, no, we're doing well. And change is in the air. You know, change is in the air in this audience because they're looking for a new way where they can have sovereignty, control over their own lives, freed from debanking. I'm sure we'll come to debanking. And I think change is in the air politically as well. I think we're a bit tired of the old parties, the old way of doing things that isn't working. So, yeah, I think change is in the air. And even though, I mean, London is not the buzzy, bouncy place that it needs to be, but I think there's a particularly younger generation coming through saying, do you know what? We're going to make it back to what it was. We're going to get it to be a great place again. So, yeah, I think there's a lot of excitement in the air.
So let's start with that change. A lot of people have described your brand of politics as disruptive of the old order.
Oh, yeah.
How does that disruption translate into financial services and crypto?
Well, disruptive in the sense I want them all to lose their jobs. I want to get rid of them all. Absolutely. No question about it. With Rachel from accounts ought to be very near the top of the list. I mean, she is so out of her depth, folks. It's almost unbelievable. I mean, we literally have a chance with the Exchequer. In fact, we have a cabinet of 25 men and women, not one of whom has ever set up and run their own commercial venture. And they think just taxing high earners, punishing creators, making life for small businesses and entrepreneurs more difficult. They think this somehow is going to solve our economic problems, and it's not, because people are literally leaving the country. The non-doms have gone, the wealthy are going, and a lot of people in this room, this age group in this room, who are looking to succeed and get on, they're heading off. And they're being tempted by Milan, Georgia Malone is tempting them. I mean, she probably tempts quite a lot of people, Georgia, but well, at least President Trump.
Elon Musk, I think.
And Elon, well, quite a lot may have gone on there. Lisbon's been attracting young entrepreneurs. So all these things worry me enormously. They worry me enormously. And as I say, we've got a budget coming up on November the 26th that will be bad for entrepreneurship. But kind of in a way, maybe things have to get worse before the public's ready to vote for genuine change and real change. And that's what we represent. Our brand of politics is disruptive. And in financial services, look, I worked here.
Yeah.
I worked just over literally a few hundred yards away. I worked in St. Catherine's Dock for 20 years. Love Wapping, know it very, very well. Recommend the Captain Kit afterwards, it's really nice. But the city is now atrophied. It's stuck with, it's got a regulator in the FCA that is there to stop us doing business. It's got a Bank of England that frankly is out of touch. And I was with the governor of the Bank of England just over a month ago when they put a limit on the number of stable coins any individual can hold. I said, listen, mate, you're being a dinosaur.
It's insane. I mean, you don't need to just juxtapose the current state of the UK's capital markets with the 80s when you were probably coming up as a commodities trader. You just need to go 10, 15 years ago. I think the most startling point, something that worries me, and I'm not even from this country, is the fact that you have, in this year, $250 million raised via your London Stock Exchange and your capital markets, juxtaposed with 10 years ago, $50 billion. What went wrong? What broke?
Well, IPOs off the cliff, commodities trading, which London dominated the world in, diminishing. The sheer level of cost and regulation of doing business in London is driving people to more competitive marketplaces. And as I say, I believe we need regulation. I believe, I want to bring in digital assets and crypto from the cold in London to have a regulatory framework under which everybody can operate. Regulation is good if it brings investor trust in markets. Regulation is bad if it makes the cost of doing business too high and, frankly, in the end, protects idiots against themselves. Then it doesn't work. Over-regulated, too costly. The compliance departments in London are now of a crazy, crazy nature. Look.
One of the only sectors may be growing at a rapid pace.
Compliance? Well, no one loses their job in compliance, do they? You know, it's the traders that lose their job if they get it wrong. No, we're in the wrong place. But I will take you back to the 80s. In the 80s, we had Big Bang. Big Bang was about taking some outdated market practices, bringing the city into the 20th century. And what happened? 300 foreign banks came to London in the late 80s and early 90s. The place was absolutely rocking and rolling and booming. Yuppies were everywhere. I was one of them.
Is that when you got that tie?
No, this is a little bit more modern. Now, the ties then would have been much louder. The suits were big pinstripes and, you know, young, in my 20s, earning loads of money but spending more. And it was great fun. But that was about innovation. Look, here we are in Tobacco Dock, right? Here we are in the London docks. This country became a great country through merchanting, through trading, through adopting a global approach to how we operate. And this is a relic of what we were great at in the 18th and 19th centuries. We became very good in the last half of the 20th century at making London the biggest financial services centre in the world, right? We moved...
In commodities, it was the biggest.
Oh, and I worked on the London Metal Exchange, and we've dominated the whole thing. And now we have this whole space, this whole digital assets and cryptocurrency space.
Is it really a possibility for London to be a hub in crypto like it was for commodities? Is that a fantasy?
When I'm in number 10, it's going to happen, right?
So what
it's going to happen.
If you were in charge of the government tomorrow, what would be 3 strategic implementations you would make to Big Bang 2.0?
Big Bang 2.0 means changing the regulatory structure. It means the FCA should be there to provide sensibly regulated markets, not to ensure that employers have the right DEI policy in banking or wherever else it may. That is all cobblers. We've got to get back to meritocracy in business as opposed to picking quotas from different groups of people. All that madness has to end. With this whole space, we have to have exchange-traded products in the United Kingdom that give investors the confidence to come into this space, as I say, with the right degree of regulation, and that we could do actually really quickly. I mean, it's an amazing thing. You know, if your bank, let's say you transfer 100 quid a month into Coinbase, your bank will probably close you down to say that you shouldn't be doing it. Investors, a lot of investors don't have the confidence yet to have digital wallets. Gen Z do, but many others don't. And despite being told that it's a Ponzi scheme, despite the governor of the Bank of England saying that cryptocurrencies are worthless and could go to zero. I mean...
Well, what else can go to zero?
Well, fiat currencies, frankly, are pretty valueless in that they're not backed up by gold anymore, despite everything that's been said. And by the way, I came out in favour of cryptocurrencies to say they were a legitimate resource in 2020. There'll be some in this room who were much earlier adopters, but in the political space, I was very much the first person to come out and say, this is real, you know, it's not going away. And despite everything that people are told, already 1 in 7 Brits have a digital asset of some kind. 1 in 4 under 30s have a digital asset of some kind, despite being told it's the Wild West and you shouldn't be going anywhere near it. Just imagine, with a government that encourages it, we could do what London has done over the centuries, whether it was here in Wapping, whether it was in the city in the 80s and 90s, we can become a world leader and a centre for this industry. There'll be thousands of well-paid jobs, there'll be lots of legitimate government tax revenues, and lots of entrepreneurs making loads of money. What's not to like?
You can make it a welcoming place to do business by implementing clear guardrails, rules of the road, regulatory clarity. But politics are complicated, right? And they're often intertwined with other issues, tax, crime, etc.
Well, we have already published online on our website a digital assets and cryptocurrency bill. This is a piece of legislation we can bring into Parliament and pass pretty quickly. Yes, it'll take a bit of time to get the regulatory framework ready for it, sensible, but we're doing the homework on this already. And it can, look, you know what? If you have a government with a majority, if it's got will, it can do whatever it wants to do. The Tory party, Rishi Sunak made one speech in the city about this and then did nothing. The Tories have no interest in this space whatsoever. The Labour cabinet, frankly, haven't got the IQ to understand what we're talking about. If you think I'm being rude, you want to hear what they say about me. And we are the only hope. I'm being serious. We're the only hope for this industry. I come from this world. My whole life's been in this world, albeit commodities, not digital assets, but options, futures, all of those things. I get it.
I think if crypto was around in the 80s, you'd be working at a crypto exchange or trading firm.
That's probably right. It's probably right. You know, yeah.
Using 100x leverage, perhaps.
All right, guilty. He's got me.
So one thing that we talked about backstage was where the levers of power are. And obviously in this country, I think ministers over the last few decades have relinquished some of that power to regulators and other entities. Two questions here that I think are worth exploring. First, which group do you think needs to wake up and smell the coffee the most? Treasury, regulators like the FCA, or ministers within Parliament? Which group do you think is lagging or serving as the biggest impediment towards progress?
So we set up regulators, we set up quangos, and basically we say to them, off you go, you get on with it. And Parliament is sovereign, right? Parliament can do what it wants to do, but Parliament can choose to give that power to other organisations. It's done that in the case of financial services. The Bank of England has so-called independence over monetary issues, and the FCA has power over regulatory issues. And frankly, you now have a situation where regulators like that, or quangos in other areas, become accountable to themselves. So that the politicians have transferred power to make decisions away from themselves to other people, so that when it goes wrong, they say, well, don't blame me, Gov. It wasn't my fault. And I would argue it's better to have elected politicians making decisions, even if they make an absolute balls of it, because at least you can get rid of them every 4 or 5 years at elections, than to give these enormous amounts of self-control and power to organisations like the FCA. Similarly, with the courts. You have court judgments overruling acts of Parliament. Well, that actually is the wrong way around. So it was Blair that did all of this, and it hasn't worked. And we have to go back to the more old-fashioned way of what you get is what you vote for. And they might do a good job, they might do a bad job, but you get the chance to change them. So I do think there's way too much power and control with the regulator.
There's an issue of power and control, but I think also one of incentives as well. Regulators, right, aren't incentivized to support or enable or facilitate success and innovation. Well, no, just because they're incentivized to avoid catastrophe or things blowing up in their face.
Look, if you ring up a regulator to say, I've got a business idea, I'm thinking of doing this, is it within the law? Does it make sense? Do you know what they'll say? We'll tell you after you've done it. So you're taking risk all the way through. There is no level of encouragement of entrepreneurship, of encouragement for business that comes from regulators. There is a stonewall response, and then if they think you've done wrong, they come and try and close you down. We are not encouraging entrepreneurship in this country. We're not encouraging business in this country. We're not encouraging innovation in this country. And I believe if we send the right signals, I believe the people that live in this country would grab it with both hands, embrace it, and we could turn this around incredibly quickly. I genuinely do.
What do you think are some bold measures you can take to sort of send a signal to the world that the UK is open for business and crypto business? We've seen things like a national stockpile, which has been talked about and rumored in the US. We'll see if that ever comes to fruition.
No, the opposite. In fact, Rachel Reeves at the moment has control over a degree of Bitcoin that's been taken off crooks, and I'm urging the Bank of England, the Chancellor, to use this money as the beginning of a Bitcoin reserve. That, I think, is the right thing to do. Again, it would further legitimize this space. And yet, you know what she's going to do? She's going to sell it on the markets to cover up for all the errors that
She can
she's
sell it
making
to
and
me if
everything
she
else.
wants.
Sorry?
She can sell it to me if she wants.
Well, they did sell all the gold, didn't they, a few years ago at a price that was about under $300 an ounce. So, yeah, I mean, you know, if they sell it, they'll sell it badly, so it could be cheap, everybody. But no. The thinking is all wrong.
Yeah. No, it's interesting. So walk us through, just so people can get some familiarity with your proverbial come to Jesus moment with crypto. Obviously, you became I think you said in an interview recently, your debanking coming out story.
Well, yeah, I mean, so when you get debanked, and I'm sure there's, how many in the room have been debanked? Yeah,
This
there's a
guy
few.
definitely
Yeah, there's a
has been
few of you.
debanked.
There's
Look
a
at
few
him.
of you. Well, you know, when you get that phone call, when you get that email, there's actually quite a hollow feeling in the bottom of your stomach, because without a bank account, and you know, a bank account is as essential as running water or electricity coming into your home. And I got the call that I was being debanked, no proper reasons given, and I then thought, well, I better get myself sorted. I better go and find. And I was then turned down by 10 banks. 10 banks that I went to visit, filled in forms, spent scores of hours on. 10 banks wouldn't have me. And I just thought, you know, there's something wrong here. So I used one of the few good things that Blair did, the ability to put in a subject access request, which I got back, which said I was being debanked because I didn't support the bank's climate change policy. I didn't support the bank's DEI policy. Well, I thought they were a bank. Quite why they've got political opinions on who their customers should be is beyond me. But the funny thing was, the last paragraph of the subject access request said there's no risk of him going public because he would find it too embarrassing. Well, you know what? They picked on the wrong bloke. So I did, and it was like coming out. Because you say to the world, I've been debanked, and immediately you fear your credit rating will be downgraded, people will think less of you, people will think you're dodgy somehow. And when I did come out, rather like the show of hands in this room, I suddenly learned that hundreds of thousands of people had been debanked, mostly because of what was seen to be unusual payments coming in and out because they're applying anti-money laundering regulation. So an innocent business gets debanked because 1 month there's a payment that's unusual from the last set of payments for the previous year, and yet Turkish barbershops proliferate on every high street in the country. So, but I think being debanked.
Is it a lifeline? Is crypto a lifeline for that?
So I realized then that the ultimate personal protection we have for our money, and I say this in light of an authoritarian British Prime Minister who now wants to bring in digital ID, which could ultimately give him complete control over your bank accounts and how you spend your money. Don't give these people an inch. We saw that during the pandemic. We saw it with lockdowns. We saw it, didn't we, with vaccine passports and 2 types of citizens. So I realized when I was debanked that I'd already said I thought crypto was a valid space. I realized after being debanked, this is the ultimate freedom. Being in control securely of your own money, making your own decisions, free from authoritarian government. Crypto is the ultimate freedom in the 21st century, and debanking absolutely taught me that for life.
There's not just...
No question. No question.
There's also a lot of talk about the potentiality of a central bank digital currency. How do you view that in light of everything you've been through?
With total and utter horror. A central bank digital currency fits into the plan for digital personal ID. It's one and the same thing. And when I said to the governor of the Bank of England, and you know, Bailey and I may not agree on things, but he is honest. He's an honest public servant. I asked him straight, are you still progressing your plans for a British central bank digital currency? And the answer was yes. I don't want to live in a country with a central bank digital currency that can measure, you know, how much we've spent on, that could be linked to carbon outputs or whatever else it may be. No, I mean, frankly, I would I would rather go to prison, and I'm prepared to go to prison, to stop us having CBDCs administered under digital ID. That is how committed I am. You know, I fought my campaign for national sovereignty and freedom and independence, but I'm now going to have to fight the campaign for individual liberty, freedom, independence, and choice. And you know what? They may think they're the big guys. I think there's enough of us to win this great battle. I genuinely do. And I intend to be at the forefront of it, however long it takes.
How much have you experimented with crypto? Have you tested the waters a bit?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Of course, yeah.
Now that you're the crypto champion, are friends and family not returning your calls?
There are.
Like the rest of us?
There are, no, not at all. People are fascinated. You know, the fact that am I famous? Well, infamous anyway. You know, when I talk about things, people do actually have conversations about it. So, yeah, look, you know.
What do you think? Give us
one thing is investing, the other is trading on margin, isn't it? Right? So, you know, trading on margin is great when it's great. It's not so great when it's not so great. So, I have got some crypto investments that are long term, but just occasionally when I fancy the market, I have a bit of fun.
You don't get a bit of a pull from your younger self to maybe engage in some more risky behavior?
What's he asking about here? Do you know? Yes, of course, I do. But, you know, the thing about trading is, if you're trading or day trading, you've got to, I mean, you know, obsessively you're watching screens and numbers, and I've got a few other things to do. So I do a lot less of it than I used to.
What lessons from your commodity days do you think influence you today as a politician?
Number one, you have to be innovative. You have to be in new spaces. Last year's way of making money is rarely next year's way of making money. That's one thing I learned in business, that all business evolves and changes over time. You know, trends change. That's the first thing I'd say that I've learned. Second thing, what else would I say I've learned from commodities and trading? Never think you're better than you are. When you think you've cracked it, folks, you're in big trouble. So a degree of humility.
So we have a version of that in crypto. It's when you start posting your P&L on Twitter. That's when it's time to sell or take risk off the table.
As soon as you do that, you're about to do your dough.
So give us a temperature check, you think, of the political landscape here in the UK. In the United States, we have, interestingly enough, very anti-crypto lawmakers within the Senate and House, which is unusual because there's not a lot of folks within your normal life who hate crypto. There's plenty of annoying people who love crypto and will bite your ear about it, but there's not a lot of people that hate crypto. Is it more of a sort of, is there a lot of passion on either side?
No. Most of our regulators don't understand anything about this subject. They have zero knowledge of this subject. This whole vast growing area, this 21st century industry, is virtually never, ever discussed or debated in the House of Commons at all. They just don't know it's happening, which is part of the completely out-of-touch nature that British politics has found itself in against the country, which is why you've seen such massive change in the opinion polls. They've lost it. They're out of touch.
So there's a bit of a complacency as it pertains to business.
I would say a bit of a complacency as pertains to almost everything. It's like Westminster is its own ecosystem, and everyone that's there loves it, and most people that are there are earning the biggest salaries they'll ever earn in their life. Probably 10% are earning the lowest salaries they'll ever earn. It's funny how the whole thing works, but most people in Westminster, when they become MPs, or they've got senior civil service positions, or jobs at big...
They never leave.
Or jobs at big media companies, they're very happy with the status quo, they're very happy with the way things are, and there is a reluctance to explore maybe what changes are needed. And I've seen that writ large. It's not new. I think all through the history of mankind, when people have new ideas in science or business or politics, they're always met with a status quo that says you're mad, you're bad, we don't want to know. And that's been the battle that the crypto space has had in this country, but then it's not had any champions. And I'm arguing today with your audience, you know, whether you like me or don't like me is irrelevant. I'm actually a champion for this space.
What resonates more with voters, you think? The sort of investment potential or opportunity, or the job growth potential opportunity, or this more philosophical concept of freedom money?
So I think that under this Prime Minister, I think, two-tier justice, two-tier policing, two-tier care, I think we believe that now as a country. I think we genuinely believe there is an unfairness within our criminal justice system that has not been there probably since Magna Carta, where we don't quite trust the authoritarian nature of this. I mean, 13,000 people last year had a knock at the door from the police for non-crime hate incidents or things they'd said on social media that could lead to prosecution. More people having their doors knocked on for what they've said here than in communist China or Russia. So given that's where we've got to as a country, given the controlling nature of this government, given still the push towards CBDCs, I think the single most appealing part of the crypto space is I'm in control of my money, nobody can close me down, nobody can take it away from me, and I can choose exactly what I want to do with it. That's the big appeal in a country that is becoming, I would say, increasingly distrustful of government.
What advice will you leave people in this room with to build out their business, to sort of make this issue omnipresent in UK politics?
Put pressure on your MPs. The trouble is you might not get an answer from them, but at least email them, write to them, ask them why they're not thinking about what's going on in this space, and tell them Reform are looking at this space. That'll make them sit up and think, because they're terrified of everything we do. They're terrified of everything we do. So that's one useful thing I think people can do. And secondly, like everything in life, spread the message, keep honest, and believe that things are going to change, because they are. Everyone can do their bit. And collectively, if everyone does their bit, and if we're able to give political leadership in this space, which we intend to do, to get this community, there are two ways of looking at it. Either I'm here to support your community, or your community is here to support me, but either way, this is a trade that works for both of us. And if we become really successful, the others might just start to think about it and talk about it. And then maybe the consensus changes and we become part of it.
So you've been at the center of probably one of the biggest in modern history political upheavals in Britain. Are you having fun?
What disrupting things? Being a bloody nuisance? Loving every minute of it. Of course I am. Of course I am. Yeah, Brexit was a major upheaval, but I just thought the whole European system not only lacked any democracy, but equally was based even more on the bureaucratic, controlling elements that we've discussed. And I thought leaving the EU was our chance to break away from all of that and to become a more innovative, more competitive, and freer nation.
Certainly for crypto, allows the United Kingdom to carve out its own path and not be subject to the reins of Mika.
Well, yeah, and I think, let's face it, the EU is never going to be a world leader in this space. It's too bureaucratically structured. It's too centrally structured. So, yeah, I think Brexit was the right revolution. Yes, it upset most politicians. Yes, it was 52-48 in the country. But I believe it was the right thing to do. And I think if we fully embrace it, it'll be a massive success. And actually, as you say, it's given us the freedom in this space for London to do what the hell it wants. So what we now have to do is do it.
Perfect. We'll leave it there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate you taking the time.
Very good. Thank you, mate.
Great job. Thank you so much. Brilliant, brilliant.